Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. The Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts is proudly sponsored by the Global Wellness HQ community. It's an online membership group where we meet, we share ideas, we share insights, and we all work together and help one another discover our own personal wellness journeys. If you'd like to join us, you can easily click the link below or scan the QR code, and we love hearing your stories. So we hope to see you in the community. Hi,
Perfect.
everyone. I'm really excited. I want to introduce my new friend, Kim Kleeman, to the show. So, Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Well, let's jump in with the very, very hard question. Tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I am a business coach with Accelerate Successfully, but I also run a network called the Inner Circle, which is where my clients and I go and build really, really cool referral relationships and help to promote one another and to utilize one another as trusted resources as we grow and network our own goals and strategies with it. It's a virtual network, and it's made up of CEOs, trusted advisors, consultants, and business development professionals.
I love it. And full disclosure, Kim and I met through networking. So I want to say a shout out to Esther Deutsch, who connected
Thanks,
us.
Esther.
I have a feeling. So for the audience, I'm about to make a choice on your behalf, and you'll have to forgive me. I can assure you that Kim is brilliant at the coaching side. I can assure you that she's more brilliant at the networking side. So my little connector sense tells me that Kim and I could go two directions. We can only go one today, so we'll have to have her back for the other. But my gut tells me that Kim and I are definitely soulmates when it comes to networking. So, with Kim's permission and audience, I'm going to take the permission on your behalf. I think our conversation today needs to be about inner circle. Is that fair,
Let's
Kim?
do it. That's fair. Let's do it.
All right. And for my audience, I'm going to say one last apology. I'm Canadian. That's what we do. We apologize. Kim and I had a very brilliant, fun conversation for about 25 minutes before I went, oh my God, why aren't we recording this? So, for those of you, I promise I'll try to bring out the gems. But Kim and I had some fun, and spoiler alert, it was about networking. So, Kim, let's get down to that. So, first of all, let's talk about the origin story of Kim as a networker. Long before Inner Circle became something of value to the world, what are your networking roots?
Okay, well, I'm not, this is going to be short, but I was taught to be a salesperson at a very young age because my parents owned retail stores, bakeries actually. So I was selling at a very young age and I really enjoyed talking to people. Fast forward to that my life has always been about bringing different groups of people together and bridging that gap, and being the one to sort of maybe make everybody feel welcome and not have those weird, awkward moments. And so in my business life, I have networked in lots of different industries with various levels, all the way CEOs, investors, all the way to being staff members of big organizations. And so that's given me a unique perspective on why somebody needs to network and how to best network.
I love that. And I think that's one of the secrets most true networkers, the ones who really get it, they don't have an origin story where, there was an accident in the lab and, I suddenly became this super networker. It was just I don't know. One day I was born, then I was breathing, and then I was connecting people. And honestly, I think retail is a really good learning ground for connecting because it's, you're fast paced, you're having conversations, and it's not just about the loaf of bread, it's about the birthday party on Sunday where, we need a cake and a loaf of bread. Like there's a story there.
Yes. And I think I was raised in a large family. So if you wanted to be heard, you needed to sort of speak up. It's a very extroverted group. And so I think that in general, I found myself on stage at a young age. I found myself wanting to public speak at a young age. And I found myself wanting to be the head of sales in all the businesses that I ran over the years. So it was very clear to me that networking was a part of it, but understanding why people network, somebody that works in a large corporation versus a solopreneur versus somebody who maybe is an attorney in a large firm, those are all going to be different reasons for networking. And I tried with my sister to build this network to fill all those needs in a really cool ecosystem way.
I love it. Well, let's talk about the origin then. And for the record, I don't know Kim. We've talked for 31 minutes. I'm going to wholeheartedly support her inner circle because anybody who cares enough to create a networking group is good people in my world. And so I will wholeheartedly support fellow connectors. So anybody listening, I'll put the next step in the chat, but we're going to talk a lot about inner circle because I want to learn, I want to get to know Kim better. So where did inner circle come from? What was now there's an origin story, I'm willing to bet.
Well, so one of the businesses that I ran was actually a tech accelerator with my brother, who is an entrepreneur. My sister's an entrepreneur. My parents are entrepreneurs. So you see a pattern there. And we built out this really great tech accelerator focused on real estate and then sold it about 5 years later. That created a unique set of relationships that I'd never had before: investors, startup founders, university contacts, all of these different people. And I remember talking with my brother and sister about it and them saying, why don't you start a networking group? Because I was kind of frankly frustrated with networking. If it was single gender networking, like a women's group, it was a lot of friendships, but not a lot of conversion. If I was going into the tech world, it was a lot of happy hours and drinking, and I wasn't really interested in that. And I was really struggling to figure out why larger networking communities weren't helping to market their members out there. It's so expensive to market. And Jeff, I love what you're doing to help businesses, by the way. And so that's really what Inner Circle is founded off of, is we wanted everybody, whatever level you come in at, if you're new to an industry or new to networking or just out of university, how do you start to build a network? And so we have one level called the silver level for them. We have a gold level that's for people that are already authors or speakers who just want more opportunities to do that, get more content recorded, and also make those connections. And then platinum and diamond level are really about mastermind groups and forming those lifelong referral partnerships and learning how to do the give and the get, which is my coaching within those, so that you're not only marketing yourself and putting your leadership out there, but you're doing it in a way that is authentic and credible. So the Inner Circle backs that as a brand, which means that, more people are listening to the credibility of that.
I love that, and I'm just going to share that when I read The Go Giver, um, a big fan of Bob Berg and John David Mann. And
Mhm.
when I read, I think it was the fifth law, it was about being receptive to receiving. I slapped my head and went, oh crap. And I'm not kidding. I reached out to Bob and I said, I love the book, you're a genius, but rule 5, I break that one every day. And I said, I don't understand, because everybody says you should be kind, you should be giving, and now you're saying I should be getting. And I was like, I literally didn't understand. And he said, Jeff, I'm going to make it easy for you. How long would you survive if you spent all day breathing out and you never stopped to breathe in? And I went, okay, I get it now. And I think that's the thing. Um, you and I are at a level of networking, I think, that just makes sense. But there are those people who've been taught, I'm going to call it sort of shameful networking, and that sounds judgy, but the idea is you go to a house party and you walk from person to person with your business card in hand and say, "Do you want to buy my stuff? Do you want to buy my stuff?" Like, you really sound like a used car salesman.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
those people don't thrive. And then they say, my other least favorite is the multi-level marketing. I had somebody who said, "Oh, I was in network marketing. It's terrible. I'd never do it again." And I feel there needs to be a better phrase or a better word, because what you and I do is not what most people think of when they hear the word networking.
No. And I think when you already are a relationship driven person, I mean, I like people and I want to know their stories and I really do want to hear them. I'm curious, and that's in the grocery store line, that's at the Starbucks. That's my children's friends, that's my aunt and uncle's friends. I'm gonna be curious and want to hear their stories, and I enjoy that. So because that's naturally already the authentic reason why I'm networking, the goal is for me to help them and to help myself. And I like that you talked about the breathing in and out, but I would also speak to that being kind to yourself as well as to others is the giving and the receiving. And if there's never a time where you ask for help, nobody ever knows how to help you. And they do want to. Others do want to help you. And it's important in our network that almost every event we say, "What is your ask? Tell us how we can help you," because we do have to keep that in mind as we move through our networks. If people don't know how to help you, it just doesn't go any further. So for me, it's a full circle moment, no pun intended, because it's natural and then it's effective.
Yeah.
And as long as and then I have to lead by example, Jeff, and ask for things too. And that is the way that I keep myself accountable to it, is that I'm asking others to do that as well.
And I think that's a huge thing, because it's lead by example. And again, I've been to other networking groups where, they've got a very formal system for tracking. And in my opinion, it's almost militant. And you get I'm not kidding, Kim. I once went to an event, and one of the persons sitting next to me, when he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm," he had a deficit in his introductions, and I'm not kidding. He's like, "I'm gonna be right back." He ran out, and he came back a little disheveled. I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "I was digging under the seat of my car to find this business card. Here you go. Here's an introduction." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Wow.
you can keep that dirty card. Thank you." Well, but
Pass.
it's we live in a society, and I want to hear your thoughts, but I'm fascinated by the misconception and the addiction that thousands of introductions is better than one good one. Everybody wants quantity. Nobody's looking at quality.
Well, we hear in sales training that it's a numbers game. So I think people are taught, if they've gotten any sales training. And I also think that's the same scarcity mindset, that you need to be, making $1 million. A lot of times when I'm talking to people is, what do you really need? How many new clients do you really want in a month? You can't onboard 25 new clients in a month anyway, right? So like, what are you really trying to do here? So I think what makes us unique is, especially at our highest levels of membership, we are strategizing on what do people really need. You need people at your webinar, you need people to read your blog, you need Google reviews. What do you really need? And then asking for that help in the groups that we have. But I also think that when we created the inner circle, my sister Joy and I, we had been part of some of those groups with all those rules. And as working moms, and especially before COVID, where I think maybe there's a better understanding of what being work for home sort of looks like, we were constantly letting people down because we weren't able to make a 7:30 a.m. networking breakfast in the city of Chicago, or we weren't able to, be there on a Saturday, because we had somewhere we had to be already. And
Mhm.
so to me, all those rules were developed by people who didn't have as many responsibilities, or that was their main focus. And rules for rules sake is not really an entrepreneurial spirit thing. So I buck that in general. And so we said, what if instead we rewarded people for those actions? And I thought about how I'm incentivized. I'm incentivized by feeling good. I'm incentivized by making money. I'm incentivized by having great clients. I'm incentivized by making an amazing connection. And so, what we've done is every 6 months, we hold an all day summit, virtual or in person. There's one of each. And we give awards out, and we give awards out for the most connected and the most deals done. And those are voted on by the peers. We're not tracking that. They're not tracking that.
Yeah.
And we also give an integrity award every 6 months to the member. That's our highest honor, to the member who's actually gone above and beyond for somebody. And it wasn't about all of those things.
Mhm.
So that's how we've chosen to do it, is that we've chosen to flip the script, and instead of punishing people, making them feel shame, making them feel anxious and stressful, let's take that off the table and instead have them remember why they're even networking, because it's about their stuff anyway, not
Well,
our
and my favorite saying in business is reward the behaviors you want repeated. And
yeah.
and that's a great comment because tracking the metrics is very bureaucratic as I'm thinking about being an entrepreneur, and it's like no wonder they struggle because most entrepreneurs rebel against things, but everybody loves dopamine. And the fact that you're doing good and helping others is huge. um Now, for my listeners, this is not scripted. Kim's probably going to be surprised.
Oh.
I am about to officially stop teaching people networking, and I'm going to send them to Kim because Kim has the patience for it. I love networking with amazing people. I don't have the infrastructure. I do try, and I try to help people, but the reality is, I do well with really good networkers. I can say this just having met Kim and chatting. And by the way, this is a testament to Hester as well. Kim, I've actually been looking for a mentor that I can send people to. So you and I were meant to have this conversation. So we'll also shout out to Elizabeth, who was incredibly patient and she got this booked. Um,
Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks, Esther.
I don't know Elizabeth, but she's clearly amazing, and I adore Esther. So, um, the reality is the universe presents us with different mindsets, and I firmly believe that the world needs more and better networking. You've just explained what I was trying to solve in my head, and I'm like, I don't need to solve this. I got Kim.
That's right. We solved it. We solved the problem. And we put 5 years into this. So it really is a well-oiled machine of engagement and connection and marketing in a way that I think brings excitement to being part of a network, rather than fear or of the unknown, of whether or not you're ever going to get a return on investment of your time. It's not even about, yes, you'll get clients, but it's about just a return on investment of your own time into these relationships you are building.
I love it. And I think that for me, I've been part of many networking groups. And pre-COVID, my biggest challenge was, as you said, sometimes they're scheduled. I had one, it was 6 a.m. And I'm like, I am not awake at 6. I'm I'm alive, I'm just not functional. You don't want to network with Jeff at 6 a.m., maybe
No.
7, but then it was, an hour to get there, an hour to get home. And then the other pet peeve, and you and I are going to talk about this one because I have a feeling you're going to give me some big insights. I am morally opposed to one-on-one networking. And
Mm,
that's again, another group requires that. And my question was why? Like, why would I want to take my time and meet one-on-one? And I know you've got some solutions here. What I present to my people is, why don't you meet 1-on-4? So if you and I are going to meet for the first time, why don't we each bring a friend? And at the end of it, we've all met 3 new people. And
right.
we've leveraged an hour of time. And in the Zoom world, everybody's like, oh, just give me, you know, I hate the lie of the 15-minute Zoom meeting because nobody ever keeps to 15.
No.
And then it's like, well, I scheduled 30 and now you're actually expecting an hour. So tell me your thoughts on how you and I are going to solve the one-on-one networking addiction, because to me it's an addiction.
Right. So we solve this at the inner circle by something that we call the inner winner formula. You're going to
Ooh.
love this, okay? Because I agree with you that I don't have the time for a bunch of one-on-ones in which we literally don't have any way to collaborate. And frankly, I might be at level 10 of networking and meet somebody who's at level 2 of networking. And it's just really hard to find a way for that to work in the long term, even if everybody wants it. So what we do at the inner circle is we have put together every month a series of events, online, virtual, because to your point, driving, parking, paying, walking, getting a phone call that your child, might have a fever, getting behind an accident, whatever it is that
Yeah.
keeps you in a frustrated mode before you even get to the networking event, or just taking all day.
Yep.
And so that I think is one of the bigger concerns that I had with networking going into this. So you come to our events, we have a free virtual happy hour every month. It's always some repeat members, some people that come every month. So everybody's able to come whenever you want to our happy hours, and then new guests that we invite in. So there's always some interesting networking going on. And in that format, we do the speed networking, and then we do a question and discussion around a theme. And it's usually around something that entrepreneurs and leaders are struggling with. Really, after that, what we tell people is in that event and our leadership lunch that we have once a month, you should identify 2 to 5 people in the room that you would like to have a one-on-one with. So it's very strategic. Don't, pick the person that doesn't match up with you. Of course, there's going to be people in the room that don't match up with you because there's variety in the world.
Yeah.
And so then we suggest that you schedule a one-on-one. And that one-on-one is meant to just get to know each other better. We suggest it's virtual, but if you're nearby each other, feel free to schedule a coffee. That's, up to you. We even encourage the triad, or even a quadruple of like, hey, why don't you all try to have lunch together and see if there's just, any synergies. Then from there, you are to identify an opportunity to bring to the table, and it's got to be mutual. Like you each try to bring, like you said, you each try to bring a couple things to the table, or you put on an event together, or you put your networks together and try to convert something for one another, but you try something. And if you're not willing to try something, then just it's a great connection and move on. But if you have 2 people willing to try something, that's where the excitement starts to really come from it. Like you and I, we met today and we're like, boom, we know exactly how this should work out. I
We're
didn't
going to
really know
figure
that
out how
much
to do.
about you, but now I do. Right. So that's how we solve it, is that we are taking people through a series of steps. And then we also have these affinity groups called squads where you are also being taught every month. So if you're in financial services or marketing or HR, or you're an attorney, we have groups that are just for your industry, where you are then talking about, well, I take on big clients and you take on small clients. So why don't we send those to one another? So there's lots of business that gets referred because we are teaching that on the regular rather than making all those rules of bringing really bad introductions forward. We like the natural progression and just teaching that.
I love it. So yes, Kim and I are going to figure out something, and I'm right now in my head. I'm debating: do I help my listeners by showing them how this works, or do I stop the recording and they're going to have to figure it out? I kind of
Ooh,
feel. See, so this is the magic of networking well. So Kim, I'm gonna actually just go for it, and we're gonna take 5 minutes, and we're gonna figure something out.
okay.
Um, I'm gonna say something up front that might shock my listeners. I want my people to meet Kim, and I genuinely don't care if Kim pays me. That's something I think a lot of people, they struggle with what's in it for me, and sometimes it's just the world's a better place. And I can say with certainty that my world's a better place if Kim is coaching other people, because I've got a lot of other things I need to deal with. And by the way, Kim said she's mentioned 5 years working on Inner Circle. I've probably spent about 5 years working on my networking terminology. Um, I won't underline all the words she uses that are very similar to words I use. I'm just going to point out to people that her heart and mine, we come from the same place of connecting people and knowing that those people need value. So when I look at networking, the inner circle, so the first question I'm going to ask is, how can people connect with Inner Circle? You mentioned that it's exclusivity and it's recommended only. Um,
Mhm.
we don't need to share the website, but if people want to know more about your Inner Circle, how do they find out? What's the first step?
Sure. So either somebody is recommended to me, like Esther did you and I, right? And I take those very seriously because typically it's going to be a good connection. But if somebody were to go to our website and take our membership quiz, that's another way that they can see whether or not what level might be a good fit and what some of the perks and the benefits are of doing this. And what we've kind of built in is whichever level you are at in your networking and your career, we have a solution versus reverse engineering that and trying to get you into a slot or a non compete with somebody else. We believe in collaboration, not competition. And we believe in networking and not prospecting. So those are our two big, belief systems that we go through, which means you're going to meet somebody else like you in our network. That's a good thing because typically that's where amazing partnerships, joint
Magic
ventures,
happens.
and
Yeah.
all kinds of great magic occurs. So that's how somebody would look into membership with us. And then they meet with my sister Joy and we vet them and then we place them depending on the level into the different groups and things that they best fit.
Awesome. I love it. And something tells me Joy is going to live up to her name. If
Yes.
she's your sister, I'm going to guess there's a lot of joy there. This is real time, and this was not prepared, but this is on my to do list. I
Ooh.
was going to create a black belt program for networking because I am absolutely, I'm not kidding, Kim, and I'm about to pass the torch here.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
I feel like the world needs some sort of way to say, because in martial arts, you don't get in the ring with a black belt unless you're a black belt. It would be really handy if novice networkers walked around wearing little white belts, so we knew that they were novice, and having the discipline of here's how you get to the yellow belt. I'm absolutely fascinated with that. So something tells me that Kim, Esther, and I are going to be co-creating that. Um,
Ooh.
but the reality is, and I've put some stuff together, but I would rather have a little piece of a big thing than 100% of a small thing. Now it says on your site here, and am I allowed to share your link and just
Yeah,
okay? It
please, that'd be
says
great.
you have 100 plus members and you're in 18 states.
Mhm.
What if I'm not in one of your 18 states?
anybody can join. We do have, since our website hasn't been updated, but we do have a couple international members. So we welcome anybody from anywhere. And because most of it's virtual, it just makes it so easy to do business across the globe.
Awesome. Just a heads up, I have I think I run right now 10 networking groups um by myself. I don't have Elizabeth. Little
I feel
jealous
for
here.
you. I feel for you.
You know where my life is. So
Mhm.
I think I have one in the state of California, one in Florida, and one in Atlanta. I feel like Pete, just a heads up, you and your Atlanta friends are going to be under Kim's careful tutelage going forward. So
That would be exciting. And Jeff, we would love to have you come speak at our summit about networking, talk about what you find to be the most important. If you are handing the torch over to us and you're finding ways for collaboration, I just want you to know you always have a place to try out new material or test a theory or get some feedback from business owners. The nice thing about a really active community is that they're always willing to get on a phone call. They're willing to give you advice because they know that you're part of this community that is already in that give and get. So I just want you to know that we really do appreciate your generosity in this conversation as well.
well, in full disclosure to my listeners, I feel like Kim just gave me the title for her book that her and I are going to write on her behalf. So Kim, it's give and get. Get Elizabeth to remind me, but
Okay.
yeah, you and I are going to write your book on networking, and that's just one of the weird, fun things I like to do. Um, Last question I'm going to ask is a very practical one. I find a lot of people, and I've been guilty myself, we don't do networking well, or it takes a lot of time. What's your number one time saving tip for those that would be Kim class? Maybe that's instead of black belt, we have Kim class. If somebody wants to be a world class networker, what's your number one tip?
Mm. Have a great reputation.
Ooh,
Because if people like you and they give you the solid gold stamp out there, nothing is better. And word of mouth marketing is the original of networking. And the worst is that you invest in all this marketing, you get yourself a speaking opportunity, you do all these things, you get out there, but your reputation precedes you. And it doesn't mean you can't make mistakes, right? And something we teach in the inner circle is you're going to partner up with somebody and it isn't going to be perfect. But then the real beauty of networking and relationship building is ironing out those wrinkles and finishing strong in things. And so that really ends up being, I think, the reputation piece that we all need to do. So finish strong is kind of something I say to my kids, to myself, to others that are stuck in deals that they can't figure their way through. And I think it's really important to be thinking about in networking as you move forward through it.
awesome. Well, Kim, I could talk to you for hours about networking, and I guarantee to my audience, I will make sure you get to be part of most of those conversations. But Kim, really, from bottom of my heart, thank you for your time today.
Oh my gosh, this has been so amazing. I did not know what today was going to be like. We were just getting to know each other, and this has just been so amazing. So thank you for your kindness and your authentic generosity, Jeff. It's really wonderful.
Well, I am a firm believer in the go giver, so thank you for being a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.